I'm going to go over to actually our last mailbag question is from Trip and Fall. Says, are we now far enough down the road to say that Game Pass has been a mistake? It seems that the lack of it a la carte sales on Xbox is directly related to the fact that Game Pass exists. Will Phil Spencer eventually be regarded as an individual that harmed the brand like Don Matrick?
Question is,
That's rough.
could we see the alternate universe without it? Would they just still have not made any sales? Would it have been worse?
I think they would have made sales.
Without Game Pass, they would have made sales.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
But your software has to be better. You can't have big games like Redfall, the disastrous Halo Infinite launch, and the constant, next year's the year. And now you're just putting shit on other platforms. Like it feels like a company that's just doesn't really have a solid direction, because the Game Pass direction didn't really work out because you didn't have that banger first party software titles to make it where it would be exciting enough.
Yeah, that's good, Celia.
Yeah, no, because they train their consumer like patterns to not purchase games. Because like a crazy thing is that like if you develop hardware for Xbox, it sells like hotcakes. Like they've trained their consumers to buy 50 fucking controllers, and it's incredible. Like they'll just keep on buying them, and it's great. But for like actual games, for Game Pass, like most people, they'll look at a game and be like, "Wow, that looks great. I'll get it on Game Pass day one, and like I don't have to buy it, and it's fine." And to like remedy that, I know that they offer that you get a discount once it's taken off Game Pass, but just the duration of when it is offered on Game Pass, those contracts are for like a year or 2 years, depending on like what you're working with them. And so that's such a long duration that like a person would be already done with their game. I'm curious in the timeline of what the consumer market would be if Game Pass didn't exist, or if they did something kind of similar to like the Blockbuster model, where you had Game Pass and you only had it for a couple days, so you got like a taste of it and you'd have to re-rent it. I don't know. I feel like when talking about that sounds more, like a GameFly model or something of the sort, just with a larger library and it being digital, so it's more immediate. I feel like in the long run that would have made more sense. As a developer, I do enjoy Game Pass because, you know, like the deals are great. It's cool to work that out, and there's more access to your game that some audiences wouldn't be able to check out normally. But like from the consumer buying patterns, it's definitely put a damper on the market. And if you compare that to like the PlayStation Plus, where they have a different kind of user experience while still having like a large library of games, it's very different because PlayStation players still purchase them.
Yeah, especially really it happened when they said we're going to put all of our games there day one, first party games, and they made that announcement. It just seemed that kind of did it. That was it. Before it was just, hey, we're going to have games occasionally go into the service and you'll subscribe to it, and that's fine. But once it was like every
then, and you almost have to imagine that some of Xbox's, we'll say, lax efforts with their releases are in part due to that. If you're putting out, if you have, you know, if you're not relying on Game Pass to be a thing and you need this game to sell X amount of copies, I feel like you're going to put a little, like Redfall. I think if Game Pass didn't exist, Redfall would have never been released in the state it was in.
They would have kept it behind the scenes or moved on from it or something.
Something.
They need some kind of content. They need some kind of release. So Redfall, it's like, whatever we got, send it out, because that was a not a great example for them in their case of like, hey, we have big Game Pass games coming, and then that comes out and it's like,
has there been a game that has been a good example from Xbox Studios aside maybe Forza?
Would you count Psychonauts 2?
No, that was a post creation purchase.
Yeah.
Well, they were already working on it. Microsoft bought Double Fine, and then they gave them more money to delay Psychonauts 2 to work on it more. So I guess you could say, well, it was already in development. It was already going to be coming out, but they helped make it better, I guess.
It was the better result compared to
You're talking about it starts development here under Game Pass, and then it comes out as this critically acclaimed.
I'm just talking from a first party Xbox, an Xbox owned studio.
It's probably Forza's probably the big one then. I mean, we have like Gears and stuff, and that's good. But you're talking about it shows up. This thing's like a 90-something Metacritic. I don't think we've had that now.